So, I want to talk about something we don't talk a lot about. Today I want to talk about death. As an ER doctor and working in the ICU, I've seen countless people die. I've been there for the passing of a lot of patients. And one recently has really stuck with me and got to me. You can't always process it. You don't have time. The patient in room 6 in the ER dies, and you've still got 7 other people in rooms and people in the waiting room. You can't take a minute and process that stuff. You got to keep going. You have to take care of everybody else. It's like we have this trauma, this form of post-traumatic distress syndrome from bottling up all this stuff. And I had a recent patient and family I took care of that it got to me. And I want to talk about it for a little bit. We talk about losing weight and getting healthier and being happy and all this stuff that's generally positive and going in a good direction. And death is a near certainty for all of us in life, and the goodbyes that come with it. It's something we need to make sense of. It's part of life. It's okay. It's good. It's natural. It's gonna happen. She was an elderly female, and when she came in, she was really sick. They put her on partial life support in the ER, and she got a little better. And she was, I admitted her to the hospital, to the intensive care unit, and her family had told me that even though that she was confined to a bed and had really started to lose her memory for years, that her husband wasn't ready to let her go, and he wanted everything done, and he really hadn't come to terms with the stage of life that she was at, that she was kind of close, that she had slowly been continuing to kind of get a little bit worse over time. And when I admitted her, I was optimistic that she was going to get better and recover. She had improved in the ER. We were able to discontinue the life support because she didn't need it anymore, and I thought she was getting better and was hopeful for a full recovery. The next morning, so she survived the night fine, but then in the next morning she got really, really sick in a couple of hours, and I had to call the family in and tell them they needed to be there. And this is what stuck with me the most. So there were a couple family members, and the husband was there, and I hadn't met him yet. And so I walked into the room, and he's standing to the right of the bed, up kind of where the patient's head and shoulders were, and he was right there with her. And this is not an easy part of the job, breaking bad news like this is, it's something we got to do. But so in a few short phrases, I told him that despite doing everything we knew how to do, we were losing her, and it didn't look like she was going to make it. And I don't know how he took that. I mean, they had been married 54 years. And at the end, this guy was her caregiver. Somehow, she was able to stay home. He didn't put her in a nursing home. He cared for her at home. And for somebody who isn't able to get out of bed, that's a lot of care. He's, wiping her butt and changing her clothes and doing the showers and doing all of these, real sainthood, heroic things that I really admire in this guy. And boy, even gently, my words had to have laid him out. I'm really sorry, but your wife's gonna die. And he was right there with her. God, guy didn't move the whole time. He just stayed right there, and he held her hand, and I'll never forget. He was rubbing her head. I don't know what he was talking to her. I don't know what he was saying. But I just imagine what he must have been going through in that moment. He was there for maybe a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, and then she died. She passed. And family throughout her last moments came in and out, and I was there, and I would leave and come back. And, most of the time, you can kind of, as the doctor, you got to keep it together and say what you know and what's going on, make sure the patient's comfortable and all these kind of things. But, something about watching this man and thinking about, losing his wife and having been together that long and having children together and being partners, and I assumed best friends, and then he turned into her caregiver, just this whole story. And, watching him in a matter of really minutes and hours, having no choice but to watch it slip through his fingers. It just got to me. I got teary. I cried a couple times. I had to step out of the room. In general, women are going to outlive men. And let's be honest, guys, we're kind of needy. I see more little old ladies that are widows than I see old men that are widowers, and you worry about the guy. What's that guy going to do next? She moves on and is free of any pain and circumstance, but he's going to go home, and the house is going to be empty, and his whole life, this is probably one of the biggest changes of his whole life. It makes me think about when I was 22, my own mother died, 22 or 23, and it's sad, it's horribly sad. It's still sad, just all of the things that, we never had. I have a daughter, and she never met her grandmother, and the things that I'd want to talk to my mom about medicine and the ICU. She was an ICU nurse. Trips and just all these things that are lost that you don't have. That's sad. But the saddest thing for me was, watching my father. And I love my dad. He's a great guy. That man wasn't meant to be alone, and they were just getting closer to. My sister and I were about out of college, and they were kind of getting to know each other again, and then she was gone, and so when I watched this elderly man kind of say goodbye to his wife, I think about my own father and just that tremendous loss, that death. We don't talk about that a lot. God, I'm of my friends, I'm the most sentimental guy. I take pictures of all these things, and my daughter gets sick of it, but one day we're all going to go. There's all going to be goodbyes, and God damn, that's sad. But I think we all have this opportunity to confront our own humanity and mortality. We're all going to die. And it's a grounding part of life. It really gives you the opportunity to make sense of what are you doing here? What are you living for? Who's important? What do you stand for? What do you want to do on this planet? Who do you want to do it with? Look that in the face. And when it comes to relationships, there's just so much bullshit out there. There's reality TV, marriages, so much divorce, and God, just in my own life, I know I struggle to find something real and meaningful, and then there it is in front of me. There's these moments, and watching this man just bleed as his wife is dying. He made me believe her. That's the real thing. That guy, he loved her. That guy loved that woman. That's the real thing. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that kind of partnership and relationship, and it just puts it into context. A meaningful thing, not this frivolous chasing and dating and all of this stuff, that we can get caught up on, but a meaningful thing. This one stuck with me, so, I wanted to take a minute and be real, and feel some emotion, and, I still had patience to see. It was a rough couple days. I still had to take care of other people, but I had to take some time to process that and to make sense of it and take that opportunity. It's all around us all the time to think about our own existence and what we're about and the meaning of life and all that deep stuff that it's easy to let go. So, thanks for watching. It's a little heavy, I know, but I think it's important stuff that we all need to think about and deal with our own death and the loss and the goodbyes and all these things that are part of life,